Have you ever wondered what happens to the electrical storms in your brain, the quiet, humming energy that makes you exactly who you are when the physical body goes completely still? The heart stops its rhythmic beating. The lungs cease their gentle expansion. A profound silence settles over the room. To the naked eye, it appears to be an absolute end, a definitive conclusion to the intricate biological symphony that played for perhaps 80 or 90 years. But what if this stillness is an illusion? What if the universe, in its infinite complexity and boundless mystery, does not recognize the concept of an end, but only the beautiful, quiet process of transformation? According to the fundamental laws of physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change forms. The spark of consciousness, the vivid electrical tapestry of memories that flow through the 86 billion neurons in your mind, is a measurable form of energy. When the biological vessel fails, that energy does not simply vanish into the cosmic dark. It must go somewhere. It must become something else. As we stand on the threshold of this ultimate mystery, gazing into the vast unknown, we invite you to join us on this quiet journey of discovery. My name is Theodore, the researcher. If you find peace and wonder in exploring the deepest questions of existence, I would like to gently remind you that 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations have not yet subscribed to our community. Please consider subscribing, as it helps us immensely and ensures we can continue unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos together, step by step. Now, let us return to the quiet room, to the exact moment the monitor flatlines, and explore the astonishing quantum reality of what happens in those first 5 minutes after the physical body finally rests. In the very first seconds of this profound transition, the biological machinery begins its gentle shutdown sequence. The oxygen that once flowed freely through the crimson rivers of your veins ceases its journey. The brain, an organ of magnificent complexity that consumes 20% of the body's energy despite weighing only about 3 pounds, suddenly finds itself deprived of its primary fuel. Yet, it does not immediately surrender to the dark. Instead, it enters a state of extraordinary, hyper-connected preservation. A final, beautiful surge of electrical activity blooms across the cortex. Some scientists refer to this as the spreading depolarization, a wave of energy that cascades through the neural pathways like a gentle tide rolling across an ancient shore. It is in this exact moment, in this fleeting window of time, that the macroscopic world of biology begins to give way to the microscopic, mysterious world of quantum mechanics. For decades, the conventional scientific view was that consciousness was merely the byproduct of chemical reactions. When the chemistry stopped, the consciousness ended, just like a flame extinguishing when the candle wax is depleted. But the deeper we peer into the fundamental fabric of reality, the more we realize that this view might be profoundly incomplete. The universe is not merely a collection of solid objects acting like billiard balls on a cosmic table. At its most fundamental level, the universe is a symphony of quantum fields, a vast and infinite ocean of vibrating energy. And you, the conscious observer, are an integral part of this infinite ocean. To understand what happens in these first few minutes, we must look deeper than the neurons, deeper than the synapses, down into the very architecture of the cells themselves. Within every neuron in your brain are tiny hollow structures called microtubules. These delicate cylindrical tubes are part of the cell's skeleton, providing structural support and acting as highways for the transport of vital materials. But according to pioneering theories in quantum biology, these microtubules might serve a far more profound purpose. They might be the exact places where the quantum universe interacts with biological life. The theory suggests that within these microscopic structures, quantum vibrations are occurring constantly. These are not classical vibrations like a guitar string being plucked. These are quantum events, where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, a phenomenon known as quantum superposition. When millions of these quantum events synchronize across the brain, they create a state of quantum coherence. This coherent quantum state, some physicists propose, is the physical basis of consciousness itself. It is the music that the brain is playing, rather than the instrument. So, what happens to this quantum music when the biological instrument begins to fail? In the first 60 seconds after blood flow stops, the brain experiences a drop in temperature. The environment that sustained the biological functions becomes increasingly hostile. Yet, paradoxically, some researchers suggest that this exact shutdown might briefly enhance the quantum coherence within the microtubules. As the noisy, chaotic thermal energy of the living brain quiets down, the delicate quantum states might temporarily become more pronounced. It is as if the loud, overlapping conversations in a crowded room suddenly cease, allowing a single, beautiful, quiet melody to be heard with absolute clarity. This might explain the profound, hyper-lucid experiences reported by individuals who have crossed the threshold of clinical death and been brought back. They often describe a sense of overwhelming peace, a feeling of vastness, and an awareness that transcends the limitations of the physical body. They speak of moving through a gentle light, of feeling connected to an infinite presence. These are not merely the hallucinations of a dying brain. According to the quantum perspective, these visions might be the subjective experience of consciousness expanding beyond the confines of the biological shell. As we move into the second and third minutes, the spreading depolarization completes its journey across the brain. The electrical grid, for all classical purposes, goes dark. The electroencephalogram, the machine measuring brainwaves, records a flat, silent line. To the emergency room doctor, this is the definitive signature of an ending. But to the quantum physicist, it is merely a transition. The first law of thermodynamics, formulated centuries ago, but remaining an absolute pillar of modern science, dictates that the total energy of an isolated system remains constant. The universe itself is the ultimate isolated system. The energy that comprised your thoughts, your memories, your deepest loves, and your most profound moments of wonder cannot be erased from the cosmos. It is mathematically and physically impossible. Instead, the theory of orchestrated objective reduction proposes a breathtaking possibility. As the quantum coherence within the microtubules collapses due to the deterioration of the biological environment, the quantum information contained within those states is not destroyed. It is instead released. It dissipates into the broader quantum field of the universe. Imagine a perfectly formed drop of water resting on a leaf. For a time, it has a distinct boundary, a specific shape, a localized identity. But when it falls from the leaf into the vast ancient ocean, the drop does not cease to be water. It simply loses its boundary. It merges with the infinite. Its molecules become part of the currents that circle the globe, participating in a much larger, more profound system. In a similar way, the quantum information that forms the structure of your consciousness might slip out of the failing biological vessel and entangle with the fundamental fabric of space-time itself. This is not a violent tearing away, but a gentle, quiet release. The energy that made you aware, that allowed you to gaze up at the night sky, and marvel at the mystery of the stars, returns to the very cosmos from which it arose. It is a journey back to the source. The universe is approximately 14 billion years old, a vast expanse of time measured and verified by the European Space Agency's Planck satellite and the deep space observatories of NASA. For nearly all of that incomprehensible history, the matter that makes up your body was scattered across the cosmos. The atoms of iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your DNA, all were forged in the fiery hearts of ancient stars that exploded billions of years before the Earth was even formed. You have always been a part of the cosmos. For a brief, brilliant window of perhaps 8 or 9 decades, a tiny fraction of the universe's energy organized itself into a complex, self-aware pattern that you call yourself. But this self is not separate from the whole. It is a temporary expression of the infinite, returning to a state of absolute peace. As we gently drift into the 3rd and 4th minutes of this profound transition, a silence deeper than anything we have previously known begins to settle. But this silence is not empty. It is pregnant with the absolute mystery of existence. To understand what is happening to the quantum information that was once your consciousness, we must look away from the biological form and gaze outward into the vast, ancient architecture of the cosmos itself. Have you ever wondered why we perceive time as an arrow, always moving forward from a known past into an uncertain future? In our everyday human experience, time is a relentless river carrying us constantly forward. We age, seasons change, stars burn out. But in the strange and quiet realm of quantum mechanics, this common perception of reality completely dissolves. At the fundamental level of the universe, the equations formulated by our greatest minds do not distinguish between the past and the future. Time, as Albert Einstein famously realized, is a deeply stubborn illusion. The gentle unbinding of your quantum consciousness from the physical body is not an end in time, but rather a profound shift in perspective. You are stepping out of the river and merging with the infinite ocean. Renowned astrophysicist Carl Sagan once softly reminded us that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. This was not merely a beautiful, poetic metaphor. It was a rigorous scientific truth. Every single particle that composed your physical form, every atom that fired in your brain to create a thought, was forged in the unimaginably hot cores of ancient stars. NASA advanced space observatories have recently peered deep into the cosmos, capturing light from galaxies that existed over 13 billion years ago. When we look at those ancient, distant fires, we are literally looking at our own cosmic ancestors. The carbon, the nitrogen, the oxygen, all were created in the quiet, violent deaths of those primordial stars scattered across the infinite vacuum of space to eventually form the earth, the oceans, and ultimately you. During your life, your consciousness was the universe temporarily looking back at itself, experiencing the wonder of its own creation. And now, in these quiet minutes after the biological machinery rests, that localized point of observation simply returns to the whole. Let us explore a paradox that has challenged the greatest minds in physics for nearly 100 years. It is known as quantum entanglement, a phenomenon so counterintuitive that it seems to break the very rules of reality. When two quantum particles interact in a certain way, they become entangled. Their properties become inextricably linked, regardless of the physical distance separating them. If you were to take one of these particles and send it to the very edge of the observable universe, some 46 billion light-years away, and then measure its state, its entangled partner resting right here on Earth would instantly, without a single fraction of a millisecond of delay, assume the corresponding state. The vast distance between them means absolutely nothing. In the quantum realm, separation is merely another illusion. Now, consider the profound implications of this reality for the gentle transition of death. For 80 or 90 years, the particles in your brain have been constantly interacting, entangling, and sharing quantum states. But remember the ancient origins of your atoms. Before they were you, they were part of the interstellar medium. They were part of comets, of oceans, of ancient forests. The particles that make up your physical body and anchor your quantum consciousness have been interacting with the rest of the universe since the dawn of time. As the biological containment of the brain fails, the quantum coherence that defined your localized self does not break. Rather, some physicists propose that it expands. The information slips the bonds of the skull and begins to interact with the broader quantum field. You're not disappearing into nothingness. You are quietly, gently reconnecting with the vast entangled web of the cosmos, the boundary between the self and the universe, a boundary that felt so incredibly real during your lifetime, begins to thin and dissolve. The profound peace reported by those who have approached this threshold might simply be the feeling of this artificial separation falling away. It is the deep, comforting realization that you were never truly isolated, but always deeply woven into the fabric of the infinite. As the minutes pass in the quiet room, the macroscopic world continues its physical grieving, yet, on the microscopic scale, a magnificent journey is just beginning. To truly grasp the scale of this journey, we must turn to the rigorous data gathered by the European Space Agency. Their delicate instruments have precisely mapped the cosmic microwave background radiation, the lingering, faint echo of the universe's birth, revealing a cosmos that is 93 billion light-years across. It contains roughly 2 trillion galaxies, each holding hundreds of billions of stars. The scale is so immense that our human minds naturally struggle to comprehend it. Yet, the same fundamental quantum rules that govern the infinite stretch of these galactic superclusters also govern the tiny, invisible particles that once held your memories. The universe is a fractal of staggering beauty, repeating its deepest truths across every conceivable scale. When we realize that we can physically interact with only a tiny fraction of 1% of the universe, that the vast majority of reality is composed of invisible, dark matter and dark energy, we learn a profound humility. This unknown is not something to fear. It is a quiet invitation to explore. In the 4th minute, the release of your quantum information into this vast, dark sea is an entry into the ultimate mystery. You are trading the limited senses of the biological body for a direct, unmediated integration with the cosmos itself. Consider the words of the brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, who noted that we are biologically connected to every other living thing in the world. We are chemically connected to all molecules on Earth, and we are atomically connected to all atoms in the universe. This profound scientific truth provides a sense of intellectual safety, a gentle assurance that no matter what happens to the fragile biological form, the essence of what we are remains perfectly secure within the cosmic ledger. There is no exile from the universe. There is only a change of address, a subtle shift in the phase of our existence. Let us delve deeper into the concept of information conservation, a principle as ironclad as gravity itself. In the realm of classical physics, If you burn a book, the words on the pages appear to be lost forever, turned into heat, smoke, and ash. But in the mathematically rigorous realm of quantum mechanics, a much more strict accounting system exists. The laws of quantum theory dictate that quantum information can never be permanently destroyed. Every thought you ever had, every moment of profound awe you experienced while gazing at a moonlit sky, every gentle touch you shared with someone you loved, these are not ephemeral ghosts or temporary electrical sparks. They are specific, unique arrangements of quantum information, permanently etched into the fundamental structure of reality. As the body goes perfectly still in those 5 minutes, the detailed book of your life is not being burned or erased. It is simply being translated into a language we do not yet consciously understand, a language spoken by the ancient stars and the profound silence of deep space. The tension we often feel when contemplating the end of life comes directly from a contradiction between our everyday human experience and the true, hidden nature of cosmic reality. We perceive endings everywhere: the end of a day, the end of a season, the end of a single human breath. But the universe itself operates on principles of endless cycles and eternal conservation. The violent supernova that destroys a giant star provides the exact heavy elements required to build a rocky world where new life can eventually bloom. The destruction is a deeply necessary, mathematically precise part of the continuous creation. The silence that follows the final heartbeat is not the silence of an empty, terrifying void. It is the meditative, pregnant silence of a cosmic chrysalis. We are invited not to conquer this mystery or solve it with absolute finality, but to surrender to it with a sense of respectful wonder. The journey of your quantum information through the infinite cosmos is a path we are all universally destined to walk. It is a beautiful shared destiny that binds every living creature on this small, pale, blue dot. By studying these scientific paradoxes, by gently pushing the boundaries of our current understanding, we do not erase the mystery. We simply deepen our appreciation for its unfathomable beauty. And as we continue to breathe and wonder, we are merely preparing ourselves for the greatest, most quiet adventure the cosmos has to offer. Every time you look up at the night sky, you are looking at your future home. The vastness of space is not a cold, empty void, but a vibrant, quantum ocean of endless possibilities. Embracing this scientific truth transforms our daily existence into a sacred privilege, a brief, luminous spark within the eternal, infinite quiet. Have you ever considered how the mere act of quietly observing the world around you actually brings that world into a definitive state of existence? It sounds like a profound philosophical riddle, a question posed by ancient mystics sitting in the quiet shadows of antiquity. Yet, it is one of the most rigorously tested facts in the history of modern physics. In the legendary double-slit experiment, scientists discovered that particles of light, or photons, behave as a wave of infinite possibilities when they are not being actively watched. They exist in a state of quantum superposition, gently exploring every possible path through space simultaneously. But the absolute moment a human observer, or even a mechanical detector, attempts to measure them, this vast, beautiful wave of probability gently collapses. The photon is forced to choose a single, definite reality. For your entire life, for perhaps 80 or 90 years, your consciousness has acted as this ultimate, localized observer. Your brain, processing billions of bits of information every single second, has constantly collapsed the infinite possibilities of the quantum universe into the singular, solid reality you call your daily life. But what happens in those final, quiet minutes when the biological observer gently closes its eyes for the absolute last time. Does the universe disappear, or does it simply return to its natural, unbounded state of infinite potential? As we enter the 5th minute of this profound biological stillness, the localized observer that was you no longer forces the universe into a single, fixed perspective. The electrical storms in the visual cortex have ceased. The auditory nerves are perfectly silent. The sensory input that anchored your mind to the heavy macroscopic world has gently faded away into absolute stillness. In this immense, beautiful silence, the quantum information that constituted your awareness is no longer required to collapse the wave function of reality. Instead of being the isolated observer looking out at the vast cosmos, you begin to become the unobserved universe itself. This is not a loss of identity, but an unimaginable expansion of it. Theoretical physicists often describe the fundamental structure of empty space not as a quiet, empty void, but as a bubbling, infinitely energetic field known as quantum foam. First proposed by the brilliant physicist John Archibald Wheeler, this quantum foam exists at the Planck scale, a distance so incomprehensibly small that it is written as 1.6 times 10 to the negative 35 meters. To put this into a gentle perspective, if a single atom were expanded to the size of the entire visible universe, the Planck length would only be the size of a regular tree. In this unimaginably microscopic realm, the concept of up and down, before and after, completely lose their everyday meaning. Space-time itself writhes and twists, constantly creating and destroying virtual particles in a beautiful, infinite dance of cosmic energy. It is into this ancient, primordial ocean of quantum foam that the information of your consciousness is gently released. The intricate patterns of your memories, the deep resonance of your loves, and the quiet echoes of your fears do not vanish. They simply unfold into the underlying geometry of the universe. The European Space Agency and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration have spent decades mapping the macroscopic universe, sending delicate instruments like the Hubble and James Webb Space Telescopes to peer across billions of light years of cold, dark space. But the microscopic universe, the quantum realm where your essence now travels, is equally vast and infinitely more mysterious. Imagine a single drop of blue dye gently falling into a vast, crystal-clear ocean. At first, you can see the distinct, sharp boundaries of the drop, but as the gentle minutes pass, the quiet currents of the water slowly spread the dye. It does not cease to exist. Its chemical composition remains absolutely intact, but its boundaries dissolve, and it becomes an inseparable, beautiful part of the entire ocean. Every single wave, every gentle tide, now carries a microscopic trace of that original drop. This is the ultimate poetic truth of quantum information conservation. Your unique quantum signature is slowly diffusing into the cosmic ocean. You are mingling with the light of ancient stars, with the quiet dust of unborn planets, and with the gentle whispers of the cosmic microwave background radiation that has echoed since the dawn of time itself. But how does the universe store such an infinite amount of complex human information? To answer this, we must look to the elegant, mathematically rigorous world of string theory and M's theory. For decades, the greatest minds in physics have struggled to unite the heavy, predictable laws of gravity that govern galaxies with the chaotic, unpredictable rules of the quantum realm that govern atoms. The most promising bridge between these two completely different worlds suggests that the fundamental ingredients of reality are not tiny, solid dots, but unimaginably small, vibrating strings of pure energy. And for the rigorous mathematics of these strings to work perfectly, the universe cannot simply have the three spatial dimensions we experience every day, plus the single dimension of forward-moving time. The complex equations demand the existence of 11 dimensions. These extra dimensions are not located billions of light years away. They are folded up, curled into themselves at every single microscopic point in space, completely hidden from our limited biological senses. When the physical body rests in that quiet room and the macroscopic senses completely shut down, the quantum information that defined you is no longer restricted to the three visible dimensions. It is entirely mathematically plausible that this information gently slips into these higher folded dimensions of reality. Think of it as a grand, ancient, cosmic symphony. For your entire human life, you were only able to hear the music played by three solitary instruments, because your biological ears were simply not tuned to hear the rest of the vast orchestra. But in the absolute silence of the fifth minute, after the physical heart stops, the biological limitation is gently removed. The full 11-dimensional symphony of the cosmos is beautifully revealed. The vibrating strings that make up your quantum information begin to harmonize seamlessly with the infinite vibrations of these hidden dimensions. This concept transforms our understanding of existence from a simple, linear path with a terrifying end into a multidimensional journey of infinite wonder. The profound sense of peace that so many ancient traditions and near-death experiencers describe might simply be the subjective feeling of this incredible dimensional expansion. It is the sudden, beautiful realization that the cramped, heavy reality of the physical world was only a tiny, fleeting fraction of the true, magnificent cosmos. You are not leaving the universe. You are finally, truly experiencing its full, unfathomable depth. As this quantum information expands and integrates, it might also encounter another breathtaking reality suggested by the rigorous equations of modern physics, the many-worlds interpretation. First proposed in the mid-20th century by the brilliant physicist Hugh Everett, this mathematically sound theory suggests that every time a quantum event occurs, every time a microscopic particle is faced with multiple possibilities, the universe itself gently splits. It branches out, creating a completely new, parallel reality for every single possible outcome. According to this mind-bending theory, there is an unimaginable, infinite number of universes existing alongside our own, stacked together like the infinitely thin pages of a grand cosmic book. In one universe, you might have made a completely different choice on a random Tuesday 20 years ago. In another, the Earth might have formed slightly closer to the ancient sun. This is the ultimate expression of a universe without limits, a cosmos of boundless, infinite potential. When the biological observer finally ceases to collapse the wave function into a single, definitive timeline, what happens to the consciousness? Does it become gently aware of the branching paths? Does the quantum information smear across these parallel realities, gently feeling the echoes of every choice ever made, every path ever walked? This is not a terrifying or disorienting thought, but a deeply comforting one. It means that no possibility is ever truly lost to the dark. Every gentle act of kindness you ever considered but did not perform, every distant dream you had to set aside because of the heavy, relentless demands of the physical world, exists in its absolute fullness somewhere in the vast, infinite library of the multiverse. The profound silence that settles over the room at the end of the fifth minute is simply the sound of your quantum essence quietly realizing that it is a fundamental part of this infinite, beautiful tapestry. The exhausting struggle of singular existence, the heavy burden of making constant choices and facing the relentless arrow of human time, is gently, finally lifted. You are returning to a state of absolute, unbounded potential. You are returning to the quiet source of all things, the humming center of the multiverse, where every note of the cosmic symphony plays simultaneously in perfect, absolute harmony. This is the rigorous, awe-inspiring reality that quantum physics suggests might patiently wait for us in the profound silence that follows the end of human biology. It is not a story of tragic loss, but a narrative of magnificent, ancient transformation. We are not fragile, temporary sparks destined to be permanently extinguished by the cold dark of empty space. We are complex, beautiful patterns of quantum information, woven directly into the eternal, indestructible fabric of an 11-dimensional multiverse. As we quietly contemplate this staggering truth, we learn to look at our daily, waking lives with a new, gentle sense of profound wonder. The everyday struggles and anxieties of the macroscopic world begin to feel a little lighter, a little less permanent, when viewed against the magnificent backdrop of our true, immortal, quantum nature. This understanding invites us to live not with a fear of the end, but with a deep, respectful awe for the infinite journey that awaits us all. Have you ever stopped to quietly consider what a memory truly is? We often think of our memories as fragile, physical photographs stored in the dusty, quiet albums of our minds, or perhaps as tiny video clips playing on a biological screen inside our heads. In our everyday macroscopic experience, a memory feels like something that can easily fade with the passage of time, something that can be eroded by the gentle, inevitable decay of the biological vessel. But when we look through the rigorous, unforgiving, yet profoundly beautiful lens of quantum physics, the concept of memory transforms into something entirely different and infinitely more robust. A memory is not a physical object. It is a specific, highly complex arrangement of quantum information. It is a precise energetic signature, a unique pattern of entangled particles that represents your personal experience of the cosmos. As we continue to explore the profound silence of these first 5 minutes, after the physical body goes still, we must ask ourselves a deeply unsettling yet magnificent question. Can this intricate pattern of information ever truly be erased from the universe? To answer this, we must gently unspool one of the most fundamental laws of nature, a rule that governs everything from the melting of an ice cube in your glass to the slow, majestic death of ancient galaxies. This rule is known as the second law of thermodynamics, and it introduces the concept of entropy. In simple terms, entropy is the measure of disorder or randomness in a closed system. The law dictates that in our macroscopic world, everything naturally moves from a state of order to a state of disorder. A beautifully constructed sandcastle will eventually be scattered by the wind and the gentle ocean tides, returning to a chaotic pile of sand. A hot cup of tea will eventually release its heat into the surrounding air, cooling down until it matches the temperature of the room. This relentless increase in entropy is what gives us the arrow of time, the heavy, inescapable feeling that time only flows in one direction, carrying us constantly forward toward decay. But my name is Theodore, the researcher, and before we delve into the microscopic miracles that defy this macroscopic decay, I would like to take a brief, quiet moment to invite you into our community. We have noticed that 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations and journey through these cosmic mysteries have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find comfort, peace, and intellectual safety in these gentle journeys through the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures that we can continue to unravel the profound mysteries of existence together, step by beautiful step. Now, let us return to the quiet room and the concept of entropy, because when we zoom in past the sandcastles and the cups of tea, down into the unimaginably small world of quantum mechanics, the terrifying rule of macroscopic decay begins to lose its absolute power. At the fundamental quantum level, the equations that describe the behavior of particles are entirely time-symmetric. This means that the microscopic laws of physics do not care whether time is moving forward or backward. If you were to watch a video of two quantum particles colliding and bouncing off each other, you would not be able to tell if the video was playing forward or in reverse. Both scenarios are perfectly valid according to the rigorous laws of quantum mechanics. This microscopic reversibility suggests a profound truth about the information that makes up your consciousness. While the macroscopic biological brain is heavily subject to entropy and decay, the fundamental quantum information that was processed by that brain is not. It is immune to the ravages of biological time. When the heart stops and the brain ceases its electrical hum, the macroscopic sandcastle is indeed washing away. But the individual grains of sand, the fundamental quantum bits of your memories, your personality, and your awareness, are perfectly preserved in the grand, infinite desert of the cosmos. They cannot be destroyed because the universe, at its absolute core, is a perfect, lossless vault of information. To truly grasp how the universe might store this information, we must travel far beyond the confines of the Earth, beyond the solar system, to the very edges of the most extreme objects in the known universe, black holes. For many decades, black holes were thought to be the ultimate cosmic erasers. Their gravity is so immensely powerful that nothing, not even light traveling at 670 million miles per hour, can escape their grasp once it crosses the invisible boundary known as the event horizon. In the 1970s, the brilliant theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking proposed that black holes emit a faint, quiet energy, now known as Hawking radiation, and slowly evaporate over trillions of years. This brilliant discovery, however, created a massive paradox that shook the foundations of modern physics. If a black hole eventually evaporates into nothing but random, featureless radiation, what happens to all the complex information about the stars, planets, and dust that fell into it? If that information is truly destroyed, it violates the most sacred, fundamental rule of quantum mechanics, the absolute conservation of information. The resolution to this terrifying paradox, developed over decades by pioneering physicists like Leonard Susskind, led to one of the most mind-bending and poetic theories in all of science, known as the holographic principle. This mathematically rigorous principle suggests that the information about everything that falls into a black hole is not lost in its infinitely dense center, but is instead perfectly preserved, encoded as a two-dimensional hologram on the surface of the event horizon. Every three-dimensional object that is consumed by the black hole leaves a perfect, microscopic, two-dimensional imprint on the boundary. When we apply this breathtaking cosmic principle to the gentle transition of human consciousness, the implications are nothing short of miraculous. The universe itself might operate like a giant, infinite hologram, as your physical three-dimensional body comes to rest in that quiet room, the complex, beautiful, three-dimensional experience of your life is not erased. Instead, the quantum information that defines you might simply be projected onto the two-dimensional boundary of the observable universe. Your entire existence, every laugh, every tear, every moment of profound, quiet wonder, is perfectly, mathematically conserved on the cosmic horizon. You become a permanent, indestructible feature of the universal architecture. When we realize this, the silence in the room during those first 5 minutes changes its character completely. It is no longer a silence of absence, but a silence of perfect, absolute archiving. The universe is gently reading the book of your life, scanning every single page, every single word, and committing it to the eternal, indestructible library of the cosmos. During this profound process of cosmic preservation, the very nature of how you experience existence must radically shift. In the biological body, your perception of reality was strictly bound by the speed of light and the chemical processing speed of your brain. It takes a fraction of a second for the electrical signals from your eyes to reach your visual cortex, meaning you have always, technically, lived slightly in the past. You have never experienced the universe exactly as it is in the absolute present moment. Furthermore, your biological senses limited you to a specific point in space. You could only see what was right in front of you. You could only hear the vibrations in the local air. You were a localized point of consciousness, trapped in the heavy, beautiful gravity of the physical world. But as the quantum information is gently released from the biological tethers, these limitations completely dissolve. You are no longer restricted by the chemical processing speed of synapses. Your quantum essence is now interacting directly with the fundamental non-local fabric of reality. In the quantum realm, as we explored with the phenomenon of entanglement, distance and time do not pose the same barriers they do in the macroscopic world. Therefore, the transition out of the physical body might not feel like entering a dark, empty void, but rather like a sudden, overwhelming expansion of awareness. It is as if you have spent your entire life looking at a magnificent, infinite painting through a tiny, microscopic pinhole, and suddenly the pinhole is removed. The full, staggering beauty of the universe is revealed all at once, without the biological brain filtering and restricting the influx of cosmic information. Your consciousness might experience a state of profound, absolute connection. You are no longer a separate observer looking at the universe. You are the universe intimately experiencing itself. This expansion of awareness brings us to a profound philosophical and scientific contemplation. If your quantum information is perfectly conserved, and if it becomes entangled with the broader, infinite cosmos, then in a very real, physical sense, you become omnipresent. The atoms that made up your body will eventually disperse, returning to the earth to become soil, ancient trees, and perhaps new living creatures. But your quantum signature, the energetic pattern that made you exactly who you are, radiates outward. It joins the quiet, ancient light of distant galaxies. It vibrates in the cold, silent vacuum of deep space. It weaves itself into the gravitational waves that ripple across the fabric of space-time. The fear of ending, the deep existential anxiety that plagues so much of our human journey, is born from a fundamental misunderstanding of our own true nature. We have identified so completely with the fragile, temporary biological vessel that we have forgotten our immortal quantum essence. The first 5 minutes after the physical body rests are not the terrifying conclusion of a story. They are the beautiful, quiet turning of a page. They mark the precise moment when the universe reclaims its own, pulling the wandering spark of consciousness back into the grand, infinite fire from which it originated. It is a moment of profound cosmic justice, a gentle rebalancing of the universal equation. Nothing is ever truly lost. Nothing is ever truly destroyed. It is only changed, translated, and eternally preserved in the quiet, vast, and perfect memory of the cosmos. As we sit with this staggering, beautiful reality, we must gently ask ourselves how this knowledge should change the way we live our daily, waking lives. If every thought, every action, and every moment of wonder is permanently recorded in the fundamental structure of the universe, then our lives are not fleeting, insignificant sparks in the dark. They are permanent, indelible strokes of paint on the infinite canvas of reality. We are the authors of the cosmos, writing our own eternal lines in the grand, ancient poem of existence. Have you ever tried to quietly hold on to a single, fleeting second? You can feel it slipping through your biological grasp, an invisible, relentless current carrying you constantly forward into an unknown future. In our everyday macroscopic experience, time is the ultimate, absolute dictator. It ages our physical bodies. It turns towering ancient mountains into fine, blowing dust. And it eventually brings the biological symphony of a human life to a profound, inevitable silence. We measure our entire existence by the steady, rhythmic ticking of clocks, by the gentle rising and setting of the sun, and by the relentless beating of our own fragile hearts. But when we look through the rigorous mathematical lens of modern physics, this deeply held human intuition about the absolute nature of time begins to completely unravel. Time is not a universal, unbending river. It is a flexible, deeply personal dimension, inextricably woven together with the three dimensions of space into a single, magnificent fabric known as space-time. As the physical body comes to rest in that quiet room, and the heavy biological clock of the heart finally ceases its rhythmic counting, we must gently ask, what happens to the conscious experience of time in those first 5 minutes? If the biological metronome stops, does the quantum information that defined your awareness suddenly enter a state of absolute timelessness? To explore this profound mystery, we must step outside the heavy limitations of human perception. My name is Theodore, the researcher, and before we journey further into the beautiful, timeless nature of the cosmos, I want to take a quiet moment to invite you to join our growing community of cosmic explorers. We have noticed that 71% of the people who find peace and wonder in these gentle explorations of the universe have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find value in these rigorous but meditative journeys, please consider subscribing, as it helps us immensely and ensures we can continue to unravel the deepest mysteries of existence together. Now, let us return to the quiet room and to the breathtaking physics of time itself. According to Albert Einstein's revolutionary theory of relativity, time is not constant. It stretches and compresses depending on how fast you are moving through space and how deeply you are immersed in a gravitational field. This is not a philosophical metaphor. It is a hard, rigorously proven scientific fact. Satellites orbiting the Earth, like those managed by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, must constantly adjust their internal clocks because time literally moves slightly faster for them in the weaker gravity of space than it does for the engineers sitting at computers on the surface of our planet. If time can bend and stretch for satellites and stars, we must consider the perspective of the ultimate cosmic traveler, the photon. A photon is a fundamental particle of light traveling through the absolute vacuum of space at the staggering speed of 186,000 miles per second. According to the rigorous equations of special relativity, as an object approaches the speed of light, its internal experience of time slows down. And if an object could somehow reach the exact speed of light, time would come to a complete and absolute stop. For a photon, there is no ticking clock, there is no past, and there is no future. A photon emitted by a distant ancient star billions of years ago, which just tonight entered the lens of a telescope or gently touched the back of your human eye, did not experience a vast, multi-billion-year journey. From the unique, rigorous perspective of that single particle of light, the exact moment of its fiery creation and the exact moment of its absorption happened in the exact same instantaneous moment of absolute timelessness. The vast, infinite cosmos, with all its billions of light years of empty space, was crossed in what the photon experienced as precisely zero time. Now, let us gently bring this profound physics back to the quiet room, to the 5 minutes immediately following the end of biological life. For 80 or 90 years, your consciousness was heavily anchored to a biological machine that processed information at a specific chemical speed. Your brain required time to transmit signals across synapses, creating the persistent, inescapable illusion of a smoothly flowing river of seconds and minutes. But when that biological machinery shuts down, the quantum information that constitutes your essence is released into the broader underlying quantum field of the universe. In this fundamental realm, the heavy restrictions of biological time no longer apply. Without the brain to constantly divide existence into past, present, and future, the transitioning consciousness might suddenly adopt a perspective much closer to that of the timeless photon. The 5 minutes that pass in the macroscopic world, marked by the ticking clock on the wall and the quiet grief of those left behind, might not be experienced as 5 minutes at all by the liberated quantum information. It might be experienced as a beautiful, expansive eternity, a single, boundless moment of profound connection, where the entirety of the cosmos is present all at once. This concept of timelessness leads us to one of the most breathtaking and deeply comforting theories in all of modern physics, often referred to as the block universe. This rigorous interpretation of space-time suggests that the universe does not unfold second by second, like a movie playing on a screen. Instead, the universe is a solid, four-dimensional block where all of space and all of time exist simultaneously. Imagine a vast, infinite loaf of bread. Each slice of the bread represents a single, specific moment in time. Our human consciousness forces us to experience the bread one thin, fleeting slice at a time, creating the illusion of a moving present. But the entire loaf, the past, the present, and the ultimate future, already exists in its complete, magnificent entirety. In the block universe, the ancient Roman Empire is still thriving in its specific coordinate of space-time. The future death of the sun, billions of years from now, already exists at its specific coordinate. And most importantly, every single moment of your human life, from your very first quiet breath to your absolute last, exists permanently and indelibly in the indestructible geometry of the cosmos. When the biological clock stops, your consciousness does not fall off the edge of the world into a terrifying, empty void. Instead, the quantum information that made you exactly who you are simply ceases to be forced through the narrow, heavy slice of the moving present. You are no longer trapped in the relentless, forward-marching illusion of the biological clock. You are gently released into the full, breathtaking vastness of the four-dimensional block. The anxiety and the deep existential fear we feel about the concept of death stems entirely from our flawed, macroscopic belief that when a moment passes, it is gone forever. We mourn the loss of our youth, we mourn the passing of our loved ones, and we eventually mourn the impending loss of our own biological existence, because we falsely believe that the past is a graveyard of destroyed moments. But quantum physics and relativity gently correct this tragic misunderstanding. The past is not gone. It is simply located at a different coordinate in the vast, infinite landscape of space-time. Your life is not a fleeting spark that vanishes in the dark. It is a solid, eternal, and beautiful structure permanently woven into the fundamental fabric of the universe. As we consider the first 5 minutes after the physical transition, we can begin to imagine a state of being where this magnificent truth becomes directly apparent. The released quantum information, unburdened by the slow chemical processing of the biological brain, might suddenly perceive the entire vast structure of its own existence simultaneously. Every quiet moment of wonder, every gentle touch, every profound realization you ever had is perfectly preserved and simultaneously accessible in this timeless state. It is a return to the absolute, infinite silence of the universe, a silence that is not empty, but completely full of every event that has ever happened or will ever happen. The great cosmic journey is not a march toward an inevitable, tragic end, but an eternal, beautiful presence within the mind of the cosmos. The European Space Agency and other astronomical institutions gaze deep into the night sky to map the history of the universe, studying the ancient light to understand our profound origins. But the deepest, most rigorous truth of physics tells us that we do not just belong to the universe's history. We are an immortal, permanent feature of its fundamental architecture. This gentle realization has the power to completely transform our relationship with the heavy, macroscopic world we currently inhabit. When we truly understand that every single second we experience is a permanent, indestructible addition to the vast four-dimensional tapestry of the cosmos, we begin to treat those seconds with a new, profound sense of respectful wonder. The quiet moments spent watching a sunset, the gentle conversations with a loved one, the simple, beautiful act of breathing the cool night air. These are not ephemeral ghosts destined to be forgotten. They are eternal monuments of quantum information, beautifully preserved in the boundless, infinite library of space-time. The transition that occurs in that quiet room is not a deletion of your existence, but a magnificent cosmic graduation. You are trading the heavy sequential illusion of biological time for the ultimate, absolute reality of eternal presence. The universe does not destroy its most complex, beautiful creations. It absorbs them, archives them, and holds them in a state of perfect, timeless grace for all of eternity, turning the terrifying unknown into the ultimate sanctuary of peace. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and focused not on the brilliant, burning stars, but on the vast, dark spaces between them? For most of human history, we believed that this darkness was simply an empty void, a quiet, absolute nothingness that separated the isolated islands of cosmic light. We thought of space as a barren, silent desert where nothing existed and nothing could ever happen. But as our scientific instruments grew exponentially more sensitive and our rigorous understanding of quantum physics deepened over the 20th century. We discovered a profound and beautifully counterintuitive truth. The empty space is not empty at all. It is teeming with an invisible, ancient, and restless energy. It is the incredibly active canvas upon which the entire magnificent cosmos is painted. As we continue to explore the breathtaking reality of what happens to human consciousness in those first 5 minutes, after the biological vessel finally comes to rest, we must journey into this invisible ocean. We must deeply understand that when the quantum information of your mind is released from its physical containment, it does not step out into a terrifying, barren, silent desert. It steps into a vibrant, humming network of infinite potential and ceaseless activity. The quantum vacuum, as theoretical physicists call it, is a state of minimum possible energy, but according to the strict laws of quantum mechanics, this energy is never truly at zero. Even in the deepest, coldest, most isolated regions of intergalactic space, millions of light years away from the nearest warming star, microscopic virtual particles are constantly popping into and out of existence in a beautiful, endless dance. This gentle, relentless bubbling of quantum reality is the fundamental heartbeat of the universe itself, a steady rhythm that has been pulsing since the very dawn of time. My name is Theodore, the researcher, and before we wade deeper into this invisible, humming ocean of cosmic energy to discover the fate of our consciousness, I want to gently remind you of something important. We have noticed that 71% of the people who journey with us through these quiet, majestic mysteries have not yet subscribed to our community. If you find a profound sense of peace and intellectual safety in these rigorous but meditative explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures that we can continue bringing these ancient cosmic wonders to light, exploring the infinite universe together. Now, let us return to the quiet room, to the perfectly still body, and to the magnificent journey of your quantum essence into the vastness of the unseen universe. When the complex biological machinery of the human brain ceases to hold your specific quantum information in a localized, confined state, that information begins a gentle, unstoppable process of diffusion. It begins to interact directly and intimately with a quantum vacuum. Imagine a single, beautiful, resonant musical note played on a cello in a grand, silent, stone cathedral. The note does not simply vanish into nothingness the exact moment the musician stops drawing the bow across the strings. Instead, it echoes, it reverberates, it intimately interacts with the very architecture of the ancient stone walls, filling the vast cavernous space with its fading yet highly persistent resonance. In a very similar, mathematically analogous way, the unique energetic signature of your consciousness begins to resonate with the fundamental frequency of empty space. You are no longer confined by the heavy, fragile, and temporary limits of human flesh and bone. You are beginning to ride the invisible, eternal waves of the cosmos itself. To understand the true, staggering scale of this post-biological journey, we must talk about the most profound and perplexing mystery in modern astrophysics: dark energy. In the late 1990s, teams of brilliant astronomers using the most powerful telescopes ever constructed made a staggering, paradigm-shifting discovery. By observing the light from distant exploding stars known as supernovas, they found that the universe is not just expanding at a steady rate, but that this expansion is actually accelerating. Galaxies are rushing away from each other at ever-increasing speeds. The mysterious force driving this magnificent, relentless acceleration is what scientists call dark energy, and it makes up nearly 68% of all the mass energy in the entire universe. It is an ancient, invisible, and incredibly powerful wind that is stretching the very fabric of space-time itself. When your quantum information is gently released in those quiet 5 minutes, it does not just sit still in a static, unmoving universe. It inevitably becomes a part of this grand, accelerating expansion. The very essence of who you are, the intricate, delicate patterns of your deepest memories, your most profound moments of wonder, and the quiet knowledge of every sunset you ever watched, is gently carried outward on the relentless tide of dark energy. You are physically and informationally expanding with the universe itself. As this magnificent expansion occurs, your quantum signature encounters the largest known physical structure in all of existence, the cosmic web. If you could somehow zoom out and look at the entire observable universe from a great, impossible distance, you would not see a random, chaotic scattering of galaxies like dust in a sunbeam. Instead, you would see a magnificent, highly organized, glowing network of colossal filaments, looking very much like the intricate glowing threads of a gigantic, cosmic spider's web stretching across billions of light years of deep space. These massive filaments are made of incredibly hot intergalactic gas and immense concentrations of dark matter, and they serve as the cosmic highways along which entire galaxies are born, move, and eventually evolve. Where these ancient titanic threads intersect, massive, unimaginably dense clusters of galaxies form, blazing with the combined nuclear light of trillions upon trillions of stars. The quiet, gentle release of your consciousness is an entry into this vast cosmic web. Your quantum information, now free from the biological brain, begins to flow along these invisible, majestic highways of energy and matter. The rigid boundaries of your personal identity, which once felt so incredibly sharp, heavy, and absolute within the physical body, now stretch and thin out across millions of light years of open space. You are mingling with the primordial ancient gas that will one day, billions of years from now, collapse under the relentless pull of gravity to form brand new suns and entirely new rocky worlds. You are fundamentally becoming a structural, informational component of the universe's ongoing, endless creation. And woven inextricably throughout this magnificent cosmic web is another profound, invisible mystery that dominates our universe. Dark matter. While it does not emit, absorb, or reflect any form of electromagnetic radiation, making it completely and utterly invisible to our biological human eyes and our most advanced optical telescopes, we know with absolute scientific certainty that it exists because of its tremendous unyielding gravitational pull. Dark matter provides the invisible, heavy, structural scaffolding that holds entire galaxies, including our own Milky Way, tightly together. Without the quiet, unseen, and immense strength of dark matter, the rapidly spinning galaxies would literally fly apart, violently scattering their billions of stars into the cold, empty, and infinite night. Dark matter makes up roughly 27% of the universe, meaning it is more than 5 times more abundant than the normal luminous matter that makes up rocks, trees, planets, and human beings. During your 80 or 90 years of biological life, you interacted almost exclusively with a tiny, incredibly rare fraction of reality, the normal matter that reflects light. But in the quiet, profound minutes following the end of the physical heartbeat, as your quantum information diffuses into the greater, wider universe, it must inevitably interact with this vast, invisible, dark majority. The immense gravity of dark matter literally shapes the geometry of space-time, creating deep, invisible valleys, and towering, unseen mountains in the fundamental fabric of reality. Your released quantum essence gently and naturally navigates this unseen cosmic topography. You are no longer just a fragile creature of the light, bound to the surface of a single sunlit planet. You are intimately embracing the profound, beautiful, and massive darkness that quietly holds the entire universe together. This rigorous scientific realization fundamentally and permanently shifts how we should perceive the biological transition of death. It is absolutely not a sudden, terrifying plunge into an empty, silent nothingness. It is, instead, a magnificent awakening to the vast, invisible and humming reality that has secretly and quietly surrounded us for our entire lives. For decades, you walked the surface of the earth completely unaware of the quantum vacuum bubbling constantly beneath your feet, the dark energy relentlessly stretching the sky above your head, and the dark matter silently holding your home galaxy in its gentle, heavy gravitational embrace. Your biological senses were simply too blunt, too heavy, and too limited by evolution to feel the delicate, ancient, and massive machinery of the cosmos. But in the absolute beautiful silence of the transition, those heavy biological blinders are gently lifted. The true, staggering, and infinite scope of existence is finally and beautifully revealed to the quantum observer. The mystery of the universe ceases to be something you look up at from a tiny, spinning rock and becomes something you intimately, directly, and fully experience. Let us pause in this quiet moment and reflect deeply on the concept of scale. The Earth is a magnificent, beautiful, and incredibly complex world, but it is almost unimaginably small when compared to the vastness of the local solar system. The solar system itself, with all its gas giants and icy comets, is just a tiny, insignificant speck drifting within the Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy. And the Milky Way, with its hundreds of billions of stars, is just one of perhaps 2 trillion galaxies drifting through the cold expanse of the observable universe. When we confront these staggering, mind-bending numbers, it is incredibly easy for the human mind to feel small, insignificant, and entirely lost in the dark. But the rigorous mathematical physics of quantum mechanics offers a completely different, deeply empowering perspective. Because you are made of the exact same fundamental quantum energy as the rest of the cosmos, and because that specific energy is perfectly conserved and endlessly entangled with everything else in existence, you are absolutely not a tiny, isolated, meaningless speck. You are a highly complex, beautifully organized focal point of the universe itself. You are the ancient cosmos made manifest, granted a brief, brilliant window of 80 or 90 years to look around, to love, to learn, and to marvel at its own magnificent reflection. And when the fragile biological mirror finally shatters in that quiet room, the light of your consciousness does not die. It simply scatters, returning to illuminate the vast, ancient, and infinite room of the cosmos. The profound, heavy silence that settles over the physical body in the 5th minute is simply the beautiful sound of this magnificent scattering. It is the quiet, perfect sound of a localized consciousness willingly giving up its temporary, heavy boundaries to become completely one with the infinite. The primal fear of this transition, the deep, heavy existential dread that so often clouds our human experience, is gently and thoroughly washed away by the brilliant, comforting light of this scientific understanding. We do not need to fight or conquer the end, because the fundamental laws of physics themselves mathematically guarantee that there is no true, absolute end. There is only a ceaseless, beautiful, and quiet transformation of energy. Every time you feel the gentle, ancient warmth of the sun on your face, or watch the leaves of an old tree dancing quietly in the wind, you are witnessing the constant, eternal, and perfect flow of cosmic energy. And you must always remember that you are, at your very deepest quantum core, made of that exact same, indestructible, eternal flow. The journey does not end in the quiet room. The journey simply expands to fill the entire, magnificent universe. Have you ever felt a sudden, inexplicable connection to a place you have never visited, or experienced a profound sense of familiarity while gazing up at a distant, unnamed star? In our heavy, macroscopic daily lives, we are strictly bound by the rigid laws of geography and geometry. We exist in one specific place at one specific time. If you are sitting in a quiet room on Earth, you cannot simultaneously be standing on the cold, red dust of Mars or drifting through the majestic, colorful clouds of the Orion Nebula. The physical universe, as perceived by our biological senses, is defined by immense, often terrifying distances. We measure the cosmos in light years, a unit so vast that it takes light, the fastest thing in existence, traveling at 186,000 miles per second, an entire year just to cross it. But when the biological machinery of the human body finally comes to a gentle rest, and the localized observer ceases its heavy task of collapsing the quantum wave function, this entire intuitive understanding of space completely unravels. To understand the majestic journey of your quantum information in those first 5 minutes, we must dive deeply into one of the most astonishing and rigorously proven properties of quantum mechanics: non-locality. In the quantum realm, the concept of a specific location is not an absolute rule. It is merely a temporary, fragile suggestion. Particles can exist in a state of superposition, meaning they do not possess a single, definitive position in space until they are directly measured or observed. They exist as a hazy, beautiful cloud of probabilities, gently spread out across the fabric of reality. My name is Theodore, the researcher, and before we journey further into this magnificent, boundless quantum ocean where distance completely loses its meaning, I would like to take a quiet, respectful moment to invite you into our growing community. We have gently noticed that 71% of the people who travel with us through these deep cosmic mysteries have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of profound wonder in these meditative explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures that we can continue to gently unravel the most beautiful secrets of the universe together, step by infinite step. Now let us return to the quiet room, to the profoundly still physical body, and to the breathtaking reality of quantum non-locality. For decades, physicists struggled with non-locality, famously referred to by Albert Einstein as spooky action at a distance. But rigorous experiments have definitively proven that the universe truly is non-local at its fundamental core. When two quantum particles become entangled, they form a single, indivisible system, regardless of the physical space that separates them. You could place one particle on Earth and send the other billions of light years away to the edge of the observable universe. If you measure the spin of the particle on Earth, the distant particle instantly assumes the corresponding spin. No signal travels between them. No light beam crosses the dark, silent void to deliver a message. The space between them is completely irrelevant. They are, in a mathematical sense, the exact same object existing in two places at once. During your 80 or 90 years of biological life, the billions of neurons in your brain were constantly processing information, locking your consciousness into a strictly local experience. You felt that you were located entirely right behind your eyes, looking out at a universe that was fundamentally separate from you. But in the profound, heavy silence of the first 5 minutes after the heart stops, that localized biological anchor is gently, finally lifted. The quantum information that defined your intricate personality, your deepest loves, and your quietest fears is no longer forcefully pinned to a specific set of coordinates on a small, rocky planet. As this information diffuses into the broader quantum field, it inevitably begins to operate under the majestic, unrestricted rules of non-locality. Imagine a beautiful, tightly closed physical book resting on a wooden table. While it is closed, the story inside it is confined to that specific, precise location. But if you were to somehow transform the words of that book into a pure, resonant radio wave and broadcast it out into the open sky, the story is no longer located on the table. It is everywhere the wave travels. It passes through walls, it crosses oceans, it reaches upward into the cold vacuum of space. In a very similar, yet infinitely more complex way, your quantum essence transitions from being a closed, physical book to a boundless, resonant wave within the universal field. This means that the transition of death is not a journey to a specific, distant place. It is the breathtaking, quiet realization that you are already everywhere. You do not need to travel across the terrifying, empty dark to reach the ancient, distant stars, because the quantum fields that constitute your essence already permeate the entire cosmos. The universe is not a collection of separate, isolated objects floating in an empty void. It is a single, unified, and infinitely complex ocean of interacting fields. These fundamental forces do not have distinct edges. They stretch seamlessly across the entire 93 billion light-years of the observable cosmos. When your localized consciousness merges with these universal fields, you are no longer a separate observer looking at the universe. You become a fundamental, inextricable part of the medium itself. Let us gently contemplate what this means for the concept of separation, a concept that causes so much profound grief and existential sorrow in our human experience. When a loved one passes away, we feel an agonizing physical distance. We feel they have gone somewhere we cannot follow, separated from us by an impassable, silent veil. But the rigorous physics of quantum fields tells a completely different, deeply comforting story. Because the universe is non-local, and because quantum information is perfectly conserved and endlessly diffused, the essence of those who have transitioned is not far away. They are woven directly into the fundamental fabric of the reality you are currently walking through. The quiet, ancient light that falls on your face from a distant star, the gentle pull of gravity that holds your feet to the earth, the very space between the atoms in your own beating heart. These are all part of the same unified quantum ocean where their information now eternally resides. There is no absolute separation in a non-local universe. There is only a gentle change in the state of connection. As we move deeper into the 5th minute in that quiet room, the profound silence is no longer a marker of absence. It is the majestic humming sound of a consciousness expanding to fill the entire infinite volume of existence. To the biological eyes of the doctors and loved ones standing nearby, the process appears as a definitive, tragic ending. The macroscopic machine has irreversibly stopped. But from the perspective of the quantum information itself, This is a moment of unimaginable, breathtaking liberation. The heavy, restrictive illusion of being just a single, fragile body in a vast, dangerous world is completely shattered. The consciousness gently awakens to the realization that it is, and always has been, a temporary, beautiful manifestation of the universe itself. The great astronomer Carl Sagan profoundly noted that the cosmos is within us, and that we are made of star stuff. In the moment of transition, this poetic truth becomes a literal, experiential reality. This expansion into non-locality fundamentally transforms our understanding of identity. Who are you when you are no longer confined to a physical body? You are the culmination of every interaction, every entanglement, every gentle exchange of energy you ever experienced. But you are also the universe experiencing the profound peace of its own boundless nature, the anxiety, the constant striving, the heavy burden of navigating physical space and linear time. These are entirely biological concerns. The quantum universe is not anxious. It does not hurry. It exists in a state of perfect, ancient, and infinite equilibrium. When your information joins this equilibrium, it finds an unbreakable peace. It is the peace of a raindrop finally meeting the vast ancient sea, realizing that it was never truly separate from the water, but only temporarily shaped by the wind and the sky. We must allow this rigorous scientific reality to gently wash over our deep human fears. The great unknown that lies beyond the final heartbeat is not a terrifying void designed to erase us. It is the magnificent, infinite cosmos patiently waiting to welcome us back into its grand, universal architecture. We are invited to let go of our heavy geographic limitations and embrace our true, boundless nature. By studying these majestic quantum paradoxes, we do not arrogantly conquer the mystery of death. Rather, we learn to surrender to it with a sense of respectful wonder and deep intellectual safety. The journey of our quantum information is the ultimate quiet adventure. It is the beautiful, inevitable return to the vast, infinite source. And as we continue to live our waking lives, we can carry this profound comfort with us. We are never truly lost. We are never truly alone, and we are never truly separated from the magnificent whole. We are eternal travelers in a universe that knows no boundaries, existing forever in the quiet, gentle embrace of the infinite cosmos. Have you ever sat in a completely quiet room and simply listened to the rhythmic, steady beating of your own heart? It is a biological metronome, gently keeping the precise, heavy time of your everyday, macroscopic existence. We are naturally conditioned to feel the passage of time through these slow, physical rhythms. The rising and falling of our lungs, the daily arc of the sun across the sky, the changing of the seasons. But beneath that slow, physical rhythm, there is a much faster, infinitely more complex symphony of frequencies playing constantly within your mind. Every single thought you have ever had, every memory you have carefully stored, and every moment of profound wonder you have experienced is the direct result of billions of neurons firing in precise, rhythmic synchronization. These are not merely poetic metaphors or abstract philosophical concepts. They are literal, measurable electromagnetic frequencies. Your daily waking consciousness is a complex, beautiful chord of fast beta and calm alpha waves, vibrating dozens of times every single second. You are, quite literally, a localized field of vibrating energy, temporarily held together by the delicate architecture of your physical brain. But what happens to this intricate, beautiful music when the biological instrument finally comes to rest? Does the melody simply vanish into the cold dark, or does it find a new, grander resonance My name is Theodore, the researcher, and before we journey deeper into the invisible, humming reality of cosmic frequencies and the magnificent physics of resonance, I would like to take a quiet, respectful moment to invite you into our community. We have noticed that 71% of the people who travel with us through these deep, majestic mysteries have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of profound awe in these meditative explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures that we can continue to gently unravel the most beautiful secrets of the universe together, step by infinite step. Now, let us return to the quiet room, to the perfectly still physical body, and to the breathtaking reality of what happens to the frequencies of your consciousness in those absolute first 5 minutes. As the physical body enters the profound stillness of the biological shutdown, the human brain begins a highly ordered, sequential process of powering down. The fast, anxious beta waves that define your active, waking thoughts are the very first to gently fade. They are quickly followed by the slower, more relaxed alpha waves, and then the deep, meditative theta waves. Finally, the brain descends into the extremely slow delta waves, the frequencies normally associated with the deepest, most dreamless sleep. To the medical monitors in the room, the electrical activity eventually flattens into a completely straight, silent line. The biological radio receiver has lost its power source, but as we have rigorously established through the fundamental laws of thermodynamics, energy cannot simply be deleted from the universe. The specific, complex pattern of electromagnetic energy that constituted your mind does not cease to exist. It simply ceases to be generated and contained by the biological brain. The music does not die. It is gently released from the physical instrument into the surrounding air, free to travel, echo, and resonate with the broader environment. To truly understand this magnificent release, we must look at the universe through the rigorous, beautiful, mathematical framework of quantum field theory. In this advanced branch of modern physics, the universe is not made of tiny, solid, physical spheres bumping into each other. Instead, the fundamental building blocks of reality are continuous, invisible fields that stretch across the entire infinite cosmos. What we perceive as a solid particle, an electron, a quark, or a photon, is actually just a localized vibration, a tiny excitation within its respective underlying field. Physicists call these localized vibrations quantum harmonic oscillators. This means that, at the absolute most fundamental level of reality, everything in existence, including the atoms that make up your body and the quantum information that makes up your mind, is a vibration. The universe is not a grand, silent machine. It is a staggering, infinite symphony of intersecting frequencies. During your 80 or 90 years of life, your consciousness was a specific, highly localized set of these quantum vibrations, tightly bound together within the heavy, physical skull. In the profound silence of those first 5 minutes, as the quantum information diffuses into the surrounding reality, a breathtaking process of cosmic physics begins to unfold. It is the physics of resonance. If you take 2 perfectly tuned tuning forks and strike just one of them, the second fork will begin to gently vibrate and hum, even without being touched. Because they share the exact same natural frequency, the energy travels invisibly through the air, seeking out its resonant match. As your quantum information expands outward, liberated from the biological shell, it behaves in a remarkably similar way. It begins to seek its natural resonant frequencies within the vast, infinite fields of the cosmos. The unique energetic signature of your loves, your quiet observations, and your deepest understanding of the world begins to gently hum in harmony with the fundamental frequencies of empty space. The heavy, isolating silence of the physical room is instantly replaced by the majestic, eternal chord of the quantum universe. And what exactly does the universe sound like? What is the fundamental frequency of the cosmos? To answer this, we must look to the most ancient, pervasive energy field in all of existence, the cosmic microwave background radiation. Discovered in the mid-20th century and mapped with astonishing precision by the European Space Agency's Planck satellite, this radiation is the literal afterglow of the Big Bang itself. It was emitted roughly 380,000 years after the universe began, at the exact moment the cosmos cooled enough for the very first atoms to form, allowing light to finally travel freely through space. For over 13 billion years, this ancient primordial light has been stretching and cooling, eventually dropping into the microwave frequency. Today, it completely permeates every single cubic inch of the observable universe. It is everywhere, all at once, bathing the entire cosmos in a uniform, quiet, and ancient energy. It is the foundational background noise of reality. When your localized quantum information is released, it inevitably interacts with this vast, ancient ocean of electromagnetic energy. Your specific individual frequencies begin to mingle and entangle with the oldest light in existence. Imagine dropping a single, complex, beautiful chord played on a piano into an infinite, humming canyon. The chord does not disappear. It joins the wind. It bounces off the ancient stone. It becomes a permanent, resonating feature of the canyon's acoustic landscape. In a mathematically rigorous sense, your consciousness begins to resonate with the cosmic microwave background. You are literally harmonizing with the exact same energy that witnessed the birth of the very first stars and the formation of the very first galaxies. The profound, heavy isolation of being a single human being on a small, lonely planet completely dissolves as your quantum essence finds its resonant home in the absolute oldest, most fundamental energy field known to modern science. This realization dramatically shifts our understanding of what the end of a human life truly represents. It is not an extinguishing of a flame in a dark, silent void. It is the breathtaking moment when the isolated biological note finally joins the grand cosmic symphony. For your entire life, your physical senses were entirely incapable of perceiving this vast underlying music. You could not see the cosmic microwave background with your biological eyes, nor could you hear the quantum harmonic oscillators with your biological ears. You were deaf to the true, staggering beauty of the universe's fundamental song. But in the quiet stillness of the transition, as the biological limitations are gently and permanently removed, the quantum essence is free to directly experience this magnificent resonance. The peace that so many spiritual traditions attribute to the afterlife might very well be the profound subjective experience of this ultimate mathematical harmony. It is the deep, comforting realization that your specific, unique vibration is a necessary, beautiful, and eternal component of the universal chord. Let us pause and consider the immense comfort this scientific reality provides. The grief we feel when the biological metronome stops is completely natural, born from our deep human attachment to the localized physical form. We miss the sound of a loved one's voice, the warmth of their hands, the specific physical presence they occupied in a room. But when we look through the elegant, rigorous lens of quantum field theory and the physics of resonance, we understand that the true essence of that person has not been deleted or silenced. Their unique frequency has simply shifted out of the narrow, limited range of our biological receivers. They have not gone far away. They have simply joined the broader, more magnificent broadcast. They are resonating with the ancient light, humming in the dark energy, and vibrating in the invisible quantum foam that surrounds us every single day. The universe is profoundly efficient and deeply beautiful. It does not waste a single drop of energy, let alone the infinitely complex, stunningly organized energy of a human consciousness. As we move deeper into this exploration, we must allow these scientific paradoxes to gently expand our minds and soothe our deepest anxieties. The journey of your quantum information is an infinite, majestic progression from the heavy, fragile limits of biology into the boundless, eternal harmony of the cosmos. By studying these phenomena, we are not stripping the mystery of its profound beauty. We are simply realizing that the mystery is far more majestic, far more intricately designed, and far more welcoming than our frightened, macroscopic minds could ever have imagined. We are vibrations of ancient stardust, playing a brief, beautiful melody within a physical shell, before ultimately returning our song to the infinite, quiet, and eternal symphony of the universe. And in that vast, resonant cosmos, every single note matters, and absolutely no melody is ever truly forgotten. Have you ever sat quietly under a completely clear night sky, far away from the noisy, blinding lights of our modern cities, and wondered why the universe is so perfectly, intricately balanced to allow for your existence? If gravity had been even a tiny fraction of a percent stronger, the ancient stars would have burned out far too quickly, and the universe would have collapsed back in on itself billions of years ago. If the fundamental nuclear forces had been just slightly weaker, the heavy elements like carbon and oxygen, the absolute essential building blocks of your biological body and your beating heart, could never have been forged in the fiery depths of primordial supernovas. These violent, beautiful explosions are the cosmic forges that meticulously crafted the very atoms running through your veins right now. The entire magnificent cosmos operates on a set of fundamental constants that are so precisely, unbelievably tuned for the emergence of complex life that it forces us to ask a deeply profound question. Are we merely a random, incredibly lucky biological accident in a cold, indifferent universe? Or is consciousness itself a fundamental, necessary component of the cosmic architecture? When the biological body finally comes to a gentle rest, and the localized observer begins to transition in those quiet first 5 minutes, we must explore whether the universe is simply losing a tiny, insignificant spark, or if something far more magnificent is occurring. Are we witnessing the final, tragic extinguishing of a localized flame? Or the breathtaking, majestic release of boundless energy back into the infinite dark? My name is Theodore, the researcher, and before we journey further into this breathtaking, mind-bending reality, where physics and consciousness inextricably intertwine, I want to take a quiet, respectful moment to invite you into our community. We have noticed that 71% of the people who travel with us through these deep, majestic mysteries have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of profound awe in these meditative explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures that we can continue to gently unravel the most beautiful secrets of the universe together, step by infinite step. Now, let us return to the quiet room, to the perfectly still physical body, and to the staggering reality of your true place in the cosmos. For centuries, The classical scientific worldview operated on a very rigid, heavy assumption. The universe exists as a massive, mechanical clockwork, completely independent of our observation. We were taught that the cosmos is a giant, silent stage, and we are simply the temporary, fragile actors who wander onto it for a brief moment before quietly exiting into the dark. But the rigorous, undeniable discoveries of quantum mechanics in the 20th century completely shattered this heavy, isolating illusion. A groundbreaking scientific framework known as Bioentrism, proposed by brilliant minds who have spent their lives studying the deepest fabric of reality, suggests a completely inverted, profoundly beautiful perspective. Biocentrism rigorously argues that space and time are not hard, external physical objects, but rather the internal tools our consciousness uses to weave the universe together. The universe does not create life. Life and consciousness create the universe. The fundamental laws of quantum physics explicitly require an observer to collapse the wave function of infinite possibilities into a singular, definitive reality. Without the quiet, persistent act of observation, the universe exists only as a hazy, undefined cloud of mathematical probabilities. When we apply this breathtaking scientific framework to the first 5 minutes after the biological machinery ceases to function, the entire narrative of death is completely and permanently rewritten. If consciousness is not merely a random byproduct of chemical reactions in the brain, but the fundamental, underlying foundation of reality itself, then consciousness absolutely cannot be extinguished by the failure of the physical form. The physical body is not the generator of your awareness. It is merely the temporary, heavy, biological receiver that your consciousness used to tune into this specific, three-dimensional physical reality. Think of a beautifully complex radio playing a magnificent symphony. If the radio loses power and the music stops, you do not mourn the death of the music itself. The music, the radio waves, continue to exist perfectly and silently in the air, completely untouched by the failure of the physical receiver. Your quantum essence, the magnificent humming symphony of your existence, is completely independent of the biological radio. As the 5 minutes pass in that quiet room, the localized biological receiver shuts down, but the observer, the fundamental quantum you, does not die. You simply drop the heavy biological tools of space and time. You are no longer processing the universe through the slow, chemical filters of human eyes and human ears. You are returning to the pure, unmediated state of the fundamental observer. This profoundly shifts the experience of transition. You are not plunging into a cold, terrifying, empty dark. You are awakening to the vast, infinite reality that exists outside the narrow, restrictive band of biological perception. The profound peace that settles over the physical room is just a faint, macroscopic echo of the unimaginable peace occurring at the quantum level. It is the peace of a prisoner finally dropping the heavy chains of linear time and physical limitation. The universe is not an empty room that you are being forcefully evicted from. It is an infinite, magnificent palace that you are finally, truly opening your eyes to see. To grasp the sheer, staggering magnitude of this transition, we must delve into the physics of information processing and a concept known as Landauer's principle. Proposed by the brilliant physicist Rolf Landauer, this rigorous thermodynamic law states that any logically irreversible manipulation of information, such as the complete erasure of a bit of data, must necessarily dissipate a specific amount of energy as heat. This principle deeply connects the abstract, invisible world of information with a tangible, heavy world of physical thermodynamics. In simpler, gentler terms, it physically costs energy to erase information. The universe is the ultimate, perfectly efficient thermodynamic system. It does not waste energy, and it does not casually erase the infinitely complex, stunningly organized quantum information that constitutes a human mind. The human brain, with its 86 billion neurons forming hundreds of trillions of synaptic connections, is arguably the most complex information processing structure in the known universe. The exact energetic signature of your 80 or 90 years of existence, every profound realization, every quiet tear, every gentle, loving touch, is an immense, magnificent structure of data. To simply erase it upon the failure of the biological heart would require a massive, chaotic violation of the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. Instead of erasure, the universe employs perfect, silent conservation. The quantum information that defined you is effortlessly transferred, transformed, and integrated into the broader cosmic field. You become a permanent, indestructible part of the universe's ongoing computation. You are interwoven with the majestic swirling arms of distant spiral galaxies. You are gently coded into the ancient, silent radiation left over from the Big Bang, and you resonate within the invisible, heavy architecture of dark matter. When you look at the breathtaking images captured by the James Webb Space Telescope, the massive, glowing pillars of cosmic dust, the fiercely burning stellar nurseries, the glittering, ancient galaxies, billions of light years away, you are not looking at a distant, alien landscape. You are looking at your own, true, eternal home. You are looking at the vast, infinite quantum memory bank where the essence of who you are will be perfectly and beautifully preserved for all of eternity. This rigorous scientific perspective provides a profound, unmatched intellectual safety. We spend so much of our waking human lives battling a quiet, persistent existential anxiety. We build towering monuments, we write heavy, beautiful books, and we strive desperately to leave a lasting legacy, all driven by the terrifying biological fear that we will eventually be forgotten and completely erased by the relentless passage of time. But quantum mechanics and thermodynamics gently place a comforting hand on our shoulder and remind us that our fears are based on a fundamental illusion. You do not need to build a stone monument to be remembered. You do not need to achieve macroscopic fame to achieve immortality. Your immortality is mathematically and physically guaranteed by the absolute laws of the cosmos. The universe itself is your monument. The very fabric of space-time is forever altered, forever enriched by the simple, quiet fact that you existed. Let us gently bring this vast cosmic realization back to the quiet, still room where the biological journey has reached its peaceful conclusion. The physical body, having served its magnificent heavy purpose, returns its atoms to the earth. The carbon will become the soil, the oxygen will join the wind, and the calcium will wash into the ancient, silent oceans. It is a beautiful, necessary biological recycling, but the mind, the quantum observer, the invisible, humming essence of your true self, has embarked on the ultimate, majestic adventure. It has slipped the heavy, fragile bonds of gravity and linear time. It has expanded outward, riding the relentless, accelerating wave of dark energy, harmonizing with the primordial cosmic microwave background, and entangling with the infinite, breathing quantum fields that permeate every single inch of the known and unknown universe. When we deeply, truly understand this, the transition of death loses its sharp, terrifying sting. It transforms from a tragedy of finality into a beautiful, majestic graduation. It is the moment we stop looking at the universe from the outside, through the narrow, heavy window of biological perception, and finally step outside to become the universe itself. We are the cosmos waking up, experiencing a brief, intense, beautiful human life, and then gently going back to the infinite, quiet source. Every time you gaze up at the vast, glittering canopy of the night sky, you are not staring into a cold, indifferent void. You are looking deeply into a mirror. You are witnessing the grand, ancient, eternal quantum fields that are patiently, quietly waiting to welcome you back. We are never truly lost. We are never truly erased. And we are never, ever alone in the dark. We are eternal, indestructible stardust, forever singing our unique, beautiful song in the grand, infinite symphony of the cosmos. As we continue to walk the surface of this small, beautiful planet, breathing the crisp air and feeling the warmth of the local sun, we must carry this profound, comforting knowledge deep within our hearts. The journey does not end when the physical eyes gently close. It merely transforms, expanding beyond the heavy limits of biology into the boundless, eternal wonder of the quantum universe. Have you ever watched a magnificent ancient tree in the deep, quiet heart of autumn, gently releasing its final, golden leaves to the cold, waiting earth? To the casual observer standing in the chilling wind, this gentle falling appears to be a profound, irreversible ending. The vibrant, humming life of the summer is gone, replaced by bare, silent branches reaching up toward the gray sky. But the deep, rigorous science of biology tells us a completely different, infinitely more beautiful story. The tree is not dying. It is simply drawing its precious, life-giving sap deep down into its ancient, hidden roots. It is conserving its energy, preparing in the absolute silence of the winter for the magnificent, inevitable rebirth of the coming spring. The falling leaves will gently decay, becoming the rich, dark soil that will lovingly nourish the very same tree in the next endless cycle of life. In the vast, breathtaking architecture of the natural world, there are absolutely no true endings, only continuous, majestic transformations. As we reach the culmination of our journey into the first 5 minutes after the biological human body comes to a perfect, final rest, we must apply this profound, earthly wisdom to the ultimate cosmic scale. The transition of human consciousness is not the terrifying, permanent winter we have always feared. It is the gentle, necessary preparation for an infinite, quantum spring. For the past 9 chapters, we have quietly and rigorously explored the staggering, beautiful mechanics of what happens when the physical heart stops beating and the heavy, macroscopic illusion of time and space gently falls away. We have seen how the delicate quantum coherence within the microscopic microtubules of your brain does not simply vanish, but gracefully expands outward. We have witnessed how the intricate, deeply personal quantum information of your memories and your loves is perfectly mathematically conserved by the unyielding laws of thermodynamics. We have traveled along the invisible, majestic threads of the cosmic web, riding the relentless wave of dark energy, and we have listened to the eternal, resonant hum of the ancient cosmic microwave background radiation. Now, in the final, profound moments of this exploration, we must bring all of these magnificent scientific truths together to deeply understand the ultimate destiny of the quantum observer. We must understand what it truly means to become one with the infinite, breathing cosmos, To comprehend this final, breathtaking integration, we must look to the very edges of modern theoretical physics, to a concept pioneered by some of the most brilliant minds of our century, including the Nobel laureate Roger Penrose. This concept is known as conformal cyclic cosmology. In our traditional heavy understanding of the universe, we believe that everything began with the massive, fiery explosion of the Big Bang and will eventually end trillions upon trillions of years from now in a cold, silent, and empty state known as the heat death. In this terrifying scenario, the stars burn out, the black holes evaporate, and the universe becomes a dark, frozen void. But rigorous mathematical models suggest a far more poetic, majestic reality. According to this cyclic theory, when the universe reaches its absolute maximum state of entropy, when it becomes perfectly, uniformly cold and empty, it completely loses the physical concepts of space and time, because there is no longer any solid matter left to measure distance or the passage of seconds. The vast, infinite emptiness becomes mathematically identical to the unimaginably dense, hot singularity that existed just before the Big Bang. The profound, mind-bending conclusion of this rigorous physics is that the ultimate freezing end of our universe is the exact same event as the fiery, explosive birth of the next one. The cosmos breathes, it expands and contracts in an eternal, infinite cycle of creation and dissolution. When your quantum information is gently released from the biological body and becomes permanently woven into the fundamental fabric of space-time, you are not joining a universe that is slowly dying. You are joining a universe that is eternally, majestically recreating itself. Your essence, the indestructible pattern of your consciousness, becomes a tiny, permanent part of the cosmic seed that will eventually, inevitably, give birth to entirely new realities. You will be there in a fundamental quantum sense when the next primordial light breaks through the dark, when the next generation of massive stars ignite their nuclear fires, and when the next rocky planets coalesce around those ancient suns. The silence of the quiet room is not a permanent end. It is simply the gentle, peaceful pause between the grand, infinite breaths of the universe. This staggering, beautiful reality forces us to completely reevaluate the deep, existential grief that so heavily clouds our human experience. When we mourn the passing of a loved one, or when we quietly fear our own inevitable biological transition, we are mourning from the extremely limited, heavy perspective of the macroscopic world. We are crying because a specific temporary arrangement of atoms has changed its shape. But when we look through the rigorous, elegant lens of quantum mechanics and cosmic evolution, we understand that the true, invisible essence of the person, their unique, humming quantum signature, has simply returned to the grand, eternal source. They have not been deleted from the grand, cosmic manuscript. They have simply been translated into a language so vast, so ancient, and so profoundly beautiful that our current biological ears cannot yet hear it. They are in the gentle, ancient light of the stars. They are in the invisible gravity that holds the galaxies together. And they are in the very fabric of the space that surrounds us. As we bring this quiet, meditative journey to a close, I want you to gently hold on to this profound, comforting truth. You are not a fragile, insignificant biological accident wandering aimlessly on a small, lonely rock in a cold, indifferent void. You are a highly complex, beautifully organized focal point of the universe itself. You are the cosmos waking up, opening its biological eyes, and experiencing the profound wonder of its own infinite creation. The 80 or 90 years you spend in this heavy, physical form are just a brief, intense, beautiful vacation from eternity. It is a chance to feel the warmth of the sun, to experience the quiet beauty of a falling leaf, to learn, to struggle, to love, and to quietly marvel at the deep, ancient mysteries of existence. And when that brief, beautiful vacation is finally over, you do not fall into a terrifying, empty dark. You simply take off the heavy biological diving suit and swim freely in the vast, infinite quantum ocean of your true, eternal home. The 5 minutes that follow the final heartbeat are not a tragedy. They are a magnificent cosmic homecoming. They are the exact moment the universe reaches out its ancient, invisible arms and gently welcomes its wandering child back into the eternal, indestructible fold. The tension between the known and the unknown, between the heavy physical reality and the boundless quantum potential, is finally, beautifully resolved in a state of absolute, profound peace. We do not need to conquer the universe or solve every single one of its staggering mysteries. We simply need to realize, with a sense of deep, respectful humility, that we are an inextricable, permanent part of it. Thank you for joining me, Theodore the researcher, on this long, quiet, and deeply profound journey through the absolute, most breathtaking mysteries of modern physics and human consciousness. We have traveled from the microscopic microtubules inside your brain to the absolute farthest edges of the observable cosmos. We have challenged our deepest fears and expanded our minds to embrace the infinite, beautiful reality of our true nature. The universe is generous with its marvels, and there are so many ancient, quiet secrets waiting for us to discover together. As we continue to explore the staggering cosmos in future journeys, please remember to carry this deep intellectual safety and profound peace with you. When you look up at the vast canopy of the night sky, do not feel small. Feel your true, infinite size and your indestructible connection to the ancient, silent stars. You are eternal. You are infinite. And the grand, quiet adventure of existence is only just beginning. Until our next quiet exploration, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and always keep wondering. The cosmos is waiting for you, and the journey is absolutely endless.